Hi, I'm Mayce.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie. I hope that you and our listeners have had a great week so far.
Yes, I hope you have as well. It's so nice that we've been doing some of these trainings and we've had a busy month and we've gotten to see each other more in person, which I love.
I know. I love it too. I know that we've been busy, but here's what we always like to say, right? We're busy doing what we love. We're working in our passion and our purpose. So it always feels so good. It fills us up.
It does for sure.
Well, I say let's get going today and introduce this week's guest. Missy, do you want to welcome her and then she can share a little bit about herself and let us know what she's up to?
Yes, I am so excited to bring her into the conversation. Welcome, Kiki Clarke.
Welcome.
One of our favorite people. Listeners, we have known Kiki for several years. We met in the leadership realm, and she is just someone we hold dear. She's so much fun. You're going to love listening and learning from her this episode. So Kiki, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Before you do that, I just love, on Zoom, because we record this on Zoom, although it's audio also, like at the bottom where it says your name and it says vibrant coach, that just brings with it such a spirit.
Yes. Well, it's who she is.
It's an amazing word. So Kiki, take it away. Tell us about you.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here with you beautiful ladies in pink. I love this M&M. Okay. Yes, I am Kiki, the Vibrant Coach, because life is exciting. So many times we are just going along and in that hamster wheel, and we forget to sit back and really enjoy the moment. So I am, yes, your life coach. And I started out about 4 years ago. I literally said, pray about life coaching on my vision board. And look, here we are now, full-time.
Wow. Love it.
Yes. How incredible. And we've been able to watch your journey to move into full-time doing what you love.
100%.
And Kiki, share with our listeners, and we'll, put links and everything later, but what do you specialize in when you say that you're the Vibrant Coach and that life is exciting? Do you have a specialty? Do you have a clientele that you prefer to work with?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
ones that have a great attitude and are ready to change.
Listeners, obviously they have great attitudes. If they're here, positive attitudes are contagious. We all have them here.
Yes.
So our listeners are going to be.
Yeah, so I'm just messing. So I have a course launch, and it's how to go from burnout to energized in 6 weeks. And so really taking people who are feeling, they might even be happy in some areas of their life, but they're feeling super overwhelmed in another area, right? And so helping them find out what that is and where they want to be and that roadmap to get there. That's my favorite, because then they feel balanced and they have more energy and they think life is exciting then, instead of just pieces of it.
It's vibrant.
I love that. It's vibrant. I love it. Okay. So earlier we just talked about working in our passion. Obviously, Kiki, your energy, right? We could tell that you are working in your passion. And it's easy to assume that drive, right? Like motivation comes solely from within. But here's the thing. While passion is personal, motivation often thrives when it's fueled by the right environment. So with that said, this is the quote that we're going to talk about this week. Motivation comes from appreciation, not expectation. I'm going to say it again. For the people.
It's so good. Yes.
I'm going to say it again.
Yes.
Yeah. Motivation comes from appreciation, not expectation. And this quote, Missy, was actually penned by one of our favorite
Let me guess.
authors.
Let me guess.
Okay, go guess.
Anon.
You got it, anonymous. We're not quite sure who Anon is, but Anon has written so many amazing quotes. So when people feel seen, right, truly valued for their contribution, it unlocks like a whole new level for them. So you guys talk about it. What do you guys think about? I'm so excited. My mic is going everywhere. What do you guys think about this quote? Motivation comes from appreciation, not expectation.
Go, Kiki. You talk first, and then I'll jump in.
Okay. I think that, in the realm, obviously, of leadership that we're talking about, just when people know they're not being taken advantage of, when people know that you truly care about them, it's almost like a supernatural connection that happens, and they feel like they can trust you. And so I think that's so important about that appreciation moment. There's so many even small details that happen when you do that. And I know we're going to probably get into a little bit of how to do that, but it's not enough to just say, this is what I expect from you, and then just walk off.
Right.
When you really come back as a leader and you even use your words to appreciate, or you know what their favorite things are, and you bring them one of those, or whatever it is that you do, like it makes people want to work for you. And that's the motivation piece. It makes people loyal, right? Missy, what do you think?
So when I think about appreciation, you can't appreciate something that you aren't aware of, that you don't know, right?
Yes.
And so appreciation goes back to what Macy and I always say, that connection is the core of leadership, because you appreciate someone because of something you see in them, something you know about them. And when you do that, it means that you want some of that, right? Like people, I think, are intrinsically hardwired to want to help others. And so when you know that someone is appreciating you, and it's because of what you can help them with, you're motivated to want to give more, because they see it. It's just this revolving circle of, you see that in me, and yes, I can help you. And so I want to do more. And it just creates a synergy in everyone being motivated to do their best. Macy, what about you? You've got to hop in here.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, I think it goes back to like, there is absolutely a difference between expectation and appreciation, right? Like, just because you expect me to do my job every day, that's not necessarily going to motivate me to do my job.
Yes.
Because I get the paycheck for that, right? It's, I'm going to go above and beyond what you want from me, or what I'm expected to do, when you appreciate what I'm doing. But just expecting me to do X, Y, Z, that is absolutely not going to motivate, I don't think, barely anybody, right? Like,
it's a low bar, isn't it? It's a low bar.
It really is.
Yes.
Because
that appreciation is like really a key to unlock the door.
Because people will do as little or as much as you expect as a leader.
Right.
Yeah.
But to get them to raise that bar, to do more, you take that expectation to appreciation, and things can explode.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kiki.
Exactly. Yes.
We love what you do, right? Helping people go from burnout to energize. I mean, obviously
people need that.
Yes.
Like, so many people are burnt out.
Yes. And so many people are going through life just with the blahs. And so to have an energized, positive life, we love that. And so this quote feels like it's right in your wheelhouse. So can you share your thoughts on how appreciation plays a role in creating that balance and motivating leaders?
Absolutely. Like, just they can feel it. They can feel if you care about them.
It's palpable, isn't it?
It literally is. Like, they can feel it when you walk in the room. Like, you can actually feel someone's attitude up to 12 feet away.
Oh,
right.
Is that like a scientific?
Yes. They actually studied the brain and all of that. And you can look it up. It's like Heart Math Institute. And you can feel someone's attitude up to 12 feet away. Okay. So when leader, AKA boss, walks in the room, right? like, already, right? Oh,
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
coming to, they just expect this from me, or I feel something different. They're coming to appreciate me, right? But, these people who work for you, it's not about them just doing things. They're people. They have goals. They have visions, right? And so when you appreciate that, like I heard a story about Lululemon. When they hire people, they ask them like what their goals are, and this might be just in the corporate setting, but and then they
Mhm.
put it up on the wall and they celebrate them. They appreciate
I
what it is
love
that those
that.
people want to do with their life, whether they want to stay at Lulu or, go whatever they want to do. And that to me says, I care about you,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
just what you're doing here.
Girl, you are
And
preaching it. Macy, she's
yeah,
preaching it like
no,
we
she
do
is.
when we do a
Yes,
training.
yes. And what I would say too, just because we are obviously focused on leaders, but I would say coworkers too, right? Like
Mm.
if you're listening and you don't necessarily quote unquote lead a team, unless you work in a silo or home by yourself all day, you interact with other people and you interact with people at the grocery store or at the mall or whatever. And if that scientific fact is true, which Kiki said it, so I'm believing it,
That's right.
that people could feel your energy 12 feet away, that's your coworker too. What are you bringing into that workplace and that workspace? And Missy and I often say, leaders, coworkers, employees, they have to do a checkup from the neck up. So
Yeah.
you have to ask yourself, what is it that you are bringing into this shared space? Because,
Okay. I just thought of something.
okay, tell
Are
us.
you
Tell us.
bringing the blahs or are you bringing the blessings?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
Oh, and
tweetable.
I think if we only tweeted.
I know. We don't tweet, we don't X, we don't do any of those things, but that'd be such a good tweet. We
I
should,
love
we
that you
know.
brought up the fact that even if you're not a leader, how are you leading the other people around you? But
Yeah.
even the silos, Macy. So even those who are at home and all of us, speaking to all of us, we need to lead ourselves, right? That's
Yes.
the
Yes.
hardest thing. So are we appreciating ourselves for all these things that we're doing? Right?
Ooh.
Are we
So
taking
good.
that moment to do that? Because if we don't, we're just going to consistently take care of everyone else's feelings or feel like we're responsible for all that.
Yes.
And so leading ourselves well, appreciating ourselves actually motivates ourselves.
So good.
So good. So let me ask you this, Kiki. Obviously, we know that you have experience with burnout yourself, right? You can't teach something well if you haven't experienced yourself. So you have shared with us that you have had experience with burnout. So how did the lack or the presence of appreciation impact your own journey? And how does that help you coach others based on your own personal experience?
Do tell.
That is such a great question. So I'm going to go back to the at home drama that was happening, causing the underlying stress of burnout, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's like in my previous marriage, which was very toxic due to addiction and then, betrayal. Okay, we're just going to sum it up with that.
That's a
Right?
good
But
summary. Just tie it up right there.
there, later. Different episode. So it's really what happened there is the lack of support. And what it did was isolate me. When you get isolated, then it's emotionally, physically, mentally, and that is a tough place to be. Not only was I doing a high stress job at that time and paying for all the bills. Okay. So all of that really helps me to have an empathetic approach when I am sitting with clients.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
understand the chaos, like hurricane, whirlwind, sandstorm, whatever you want to call it. Like I understand trying to stand in a place of peace and on a firm foundation and you not being toxic yourself when everything else is going crazy.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're
good.
able to like spot it in other people and talk to it
Oh, yeah.
because obviously based on your own experience.
And
So
then
good.
adding on, so if you do that layer for work, so you then tend to, me speaking from experience, I want to be the best employee, right? The best associate, the best on my team, right? So I'm like, okay, so at work, all of that happening at home is hidden, right? And then I am just pushing myself because I'm like, this is where I'm thriving. This is what I'm doing. And you could push yourself so hard to a goal, that you're still isolated, right? And so there's so many things happening. And then when you're so good at work, the leaders are like, oh, you can leave her alone. She's got it. She knows what she's doing. And then they fail to appreciate, and you're further isolated.
Oh, that is, yeah. Like you're working so well at such a high level.
Right.
And then it almost becomes expected.
Yes.
You're going to continue to work at that level, that they're like, well, she's working at this level and I haven't said anything to her. I don't need to say anything to her or him because she's got it.
Yeah. They totally get ignored. And it's a vicious cycle. And since I've experienced it, I understand where people are, even in their home or with their leaders. And that's why when talking about leadership, or even y'all, you're right, Macy. The people who aren't really leading, technically, like having, when I say really leading, I mean having the title.
Direct,
all of
direct
you
reports.
Yeah.
All of you lead. Okay.
Sure.
Yes. And that's why it's important for you to take the time to invest in your team, check in on them, just have those conversations. And that makes sure that you're not isolating your best people.
So good. Okay. So we know, because we've worked with them, that many leaders struggle with the balance of pressures of high expectations in their job and taking care of themselves, right? That's what we've really been talking about.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
100%.
what are some easy ways that they can recognize their team's efforts without letting things slide?
And I would also say without it feeling like this extra pressure, right? They're already reaching these high expectations. They're trying to thrive in their career. They're trying to take care of themselves, their kids, their family, all this. And now you're like, oh, by the way, you have to add one more thing. You have to appreciate your people. So I love that question, Missy. Like, what are some easy ways that aren't going to take like a lot of effort to be able to show people?
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas? Yeah.
Yeah. Like what are some suggestions?
Yes. So when you just asked that question, I realized, some people, when they have the title and they have that leadership role, they're forgetting that they're leader and they're being the doer. So then they have all that they have to do, and they forget as a leader, they need to delegate and empower. So number one,
speaking our
number
language.
one, like that mind shift. It's a mind shift of, oh, I used to be like, for instance, assistant manager versus manager. The assistant manager does everything, right? When you become the manager, you have to give those tasks to the assistant manager. And then as the manager, you need to think ahead and think about vision, right? And so if you're not doing that and you don't have time in your schedule for that, then this is not going to work. You have to put in time to be the leader, meaning thinking ahead. And so when you put that time in your calendar, what I recommend is setting aside specific time for each of your top talent for sure, but each person. And when I say that, I mean, let's say it's just a 5-minute check-in, like, hey, every week, what are your goals for your life? And so that goes back to y'all's connection.
Without question.
So, what are your, and this conversation that you have with your leaders does not have anything to do with the job performance or the job goals or anything like that. You are taking the intentionality to meet with your top talent to make sure that they are good. That makes sense?
Not taking it for granted that they are.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then
especially I would say those high producers, right? Those people that you think are all good, all set, all great, that they on paper, everything's fine. Those are the ones that are probably struggling the most and probably want the recognition and appreciation the most.
And it's that top 20%. It's that top talent that you have.
Absolutely.
And then you go and you pour it into them. And why do you do that? Is because then you're going to recreate that. Right?
Create the culture. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. The positive one. Then you set aside the other time in the week to talk about your task and your goals and all of those things. But this personal check-in is so important.
It so is. Yeah. We preach it too, Kiki.
Yeah.
So our listeners, if they've been around for a while, they know what we feel about this. So let me ask you this. We know, all three of us, we know that leadership comes in all shapes and sizes, right? That is one, I think, of one of the most beautiful things about leadership is that there is no perfect type, right? You don't have to be a certain way to be a leader. Anyone can be a great leader. And then not just leadership comes in all shapes and sizes, so do employees, right? Employees come in all shapes and sizes. Everyone shows up differently to work. So what do you think is the best way for a leader to navigate that? Meaning, how can a leader effectively motivate employees based on their differences, right? Not treating everyone fair, but what would you suggest? How can a leader navigate and treat everyone differently, not necessarily fairly, if that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. There are tools out there for, let's just say you run a report on what motivates them, and you'll flat out see it's not the same. You know what I mean? And so not having to recreate the wheel, but you can go in there, I mean, if you want more
we actually are
information,
going to give that to our listeners as a gift. We're going to get to that. That's what we're giving them.
Exactly. There's a list of like 23. You go in, you can chart your whole team. And that way, like, oh, this person is motivated by variety. So they don't really like their schedule the same. This person is not motivated by pressure. So please don't give them any last minute tasks, and these are very small tweaks where you can clearly see they're not all the same, but then, maybe one is a good developer of people. Well, if you want to teach a class on something, boom. And that speaks volumes when you choose the right person for the task. Yeah. And then when you're having these group meetings, share these like spreadsheets or the report, I guess you could say that show, hey, I realize that you really like this and so everyone gets to learn about everybody else. And so they know why you as a leader might have picked a certain person to do the social media posts or whatever it is that your task is,
Yeah, look, I think it all goes back to connection again. And what you're saying, you have to know them, right? You have to know what motivates them and how they want to be motivated. And as you said, Macy, our free gift today is going to help with that.
Yeah, because some people are motivated by the doing task. Some people are motivated by like the social task, right? So, Kiki, how do you like to be motivated?
I like to have fun.
Missy, I would say that motivates you too. Don't you think? Like if you like fun, something has to be fun, I think, to get you going.
Yeah, I like to have fun in everything that I do. Yes. But my fun is really like people focused. Like I don't necessarily want to go ride a roller coaster with the team to have fun. It's really about, for me, it's the fun of connecting with people and getting to know them and being able to laugh and have a relaxed atmosphere. That motivates me. What about you, Mayce?
Yeah. Well, I almost spit out my drink because you mentioned roller coaster. I was going to say, like, you're not motivated by like, let's go on a 3-mile bike ride, right? Like,
for sure.
Just as an aside, Missy and I, we've known each other for about 10 years, but as little girls, we do not ride bikes. Like neither of us ride bikes. So it's just so interesting. So some people might think that that's fun and ride a bike. I am actually motivated more by tasks. Like when Kiki said, get out the spreadsheet, like that gets me excited. Like I love being motivated by details. And I would say for sure appreciation. I mean, that's what our topic is today.
Yeah.
Everybody, I think at some level, everybody wants to be appreciated. Now, some people want the spotlight on them, like the song and the dance, like, oh, you did a great job. And other people like a little, pat on the back. You did a great job. I saw you. I value you. So I think appreciation can show up a little bit differently.
Yeah. Like I want to be appreciated because that lets me know that I've served someone well. It's not about the spotlight being on me.
Right.
Right. It really is about knowing that I've added value to someone. But
and some people do want a spotlight just because they want their names in lights.
Yes.
And that's okay. And if you know that about them,
celebrate them.
celebrate them.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about being motivated by appreciation, not expectation. Missy, I don't know if you remember the client we had. He shared with us, his team had to hit a deadline. And the leader had the expectation that everyone was going to come in early or stay late to get it done. There was no acknowledgement, right, of the hard work that they had already been doing, like no recognition of their effort or their contributions. Like this leader was really just focused on the result and an assumption that they're going to deliver on it because the leader expected them to. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember. And unfortunately, when that happens, the next time the leader needs his team to rally and work late or put in extra hours, it may not happen, or it might be met with more, I would say, resistance. But if the leader would have just said something as simple as, hey, I know everyone's been working hard. I really appreciate the effort you've been putting in. The deadline's a big one, right? Like, I have no doubt that we can achieve it together. Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing to make it happen. Those kind of words make it easier for the team to say yes. And Kiki,
and I think what you said is so true, Miss. Like, it's simple.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't this long, elaborate song and dance. It was just like, thank you.
And it wasn't bringing in balloons and flowers. It was just words. So, Kiki, have you had people share experiences like this?
I'm laughing as you're talking because I can think of one where I was appreciated in the wrong way and then appreciated in the right way. But for me,
I want to hear about the wrong way. Share the wrong way.
Yes. I've got to tell you this because it's the funniest thing to me, because I was like, do they not even know me? Like, how is this leader? What? So I was in charge of putting on events for years for this company that I worked for. And it was a new boss, like a new president. And so I had completed the event, which normally comes with a bonus. Okay. And what happened this particular time is nobody asked me. And because in that season, like I talked about my home story, I needed the money. Like, I needed money to pay my bills, to do the kids, things like that, right? Obviously, I needed to take care of myself, but this was so funny because he handed me a spa gift card. And I was like, oh, that's great, but I really need the money. Like, in my head, like, I needed the money.
Right. Like, who could I sell this spa gift card to?
Seriously, I was like, they didn't, actually, I just thought of another thing. That's so funny. Yes. So it's that type of thing, needing to know your people, getting to know them before you give them what you think they want. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, maybe you give someone a gift card to a Mexican restaurant, and like they're allergic to, I don't know, rice
cilantro.
or something.
Somebody gave me, I think it was a Michael Kors purse or something. It was a Gucci purse, right? And it was like worth $800. And I'm looking at it like, and I tried to take it back to the store.
Yeah.
Because I needed the money so bad, and they wouldn't exchange it. I had to actually like exchange for a watch because I was like, I'll never use this. I just wasn't used to things like that.
Let me just tell you something, Kiki. If you ever get a Gucci purse again, M&M will gladly take it off your hands.
We'll buy it
for the record.
We'll pass it back and forth from Mississippi to Orlando to South Florida.
I was young. I didn't grow up in that. I didn't understand it. Right. Yeah. It was a totally different culture for me, but that was super funny. But the time that I remember that I was appreciated really well is in the same type of events that I was putting on. I'd already launched the coaching program in the company, and it would just amazing, incredible results with the people who had been coming to the classes. And so in a room of about 250 people where I'm facilitating our team build, it's a very interactive team build, right? One of the questions came up about, how they had grown or whatever. And when they started getting up and talking about the coaching program that I had started and how it meant to their life, like in front of it was all the leaders of the company. It was all of our main suppliers. Like, I get chills. I had the mic in the front and I couldn't even talk. Like, it touched me so much that they would stand up and say how much that meant to them, because they didn't know that I fought for it. They didn't know, the leaders didn't know exactly what it was doing to their team,
Were you speechless, Kiki?
Yes. Oh, I was near tears. I had to hold them back because that to me, when you say what motivates me, that's my favorite thing is to
Yeah.
watch people change, like to have
Yes.
positive change in their life and they grow into this person that they just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, Kiki, because obviously appreciation can motivate individuals,
Yeah.
but it can ripple out to the team. So even using that example that you just shared, right, that they impacted you because they shared like what a great thing this coaching program is, like,
Mhm.
does appreciation affect organizational culture, do you think?
Oh, you could take it as an illustration of taking a rock and throwing it into a lake, and you see all of the ripples that start to come out from it. You
Hmm.
know,
Mhm.
those leaders that take that moment to do that, especially healthy leaders create healthy leaders. They multiply that,
Right.
right?
Healthy environments.
And if it's toxic and driven by like anger and people pleasing, that's what you're going to create. And the ripple's
Sure.
still the same, right? And so it's important, and like even in that moment when people were appreciating what I had done, that was the moment where the leaders could see, oh, this is happening like this, right? And
Yes.
it's affecting, and everyone in the room, more people in the room are like, what is this program and how did I miss it?
Yeah.
And then once they start having their growth, it creates healthy leaders.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think appreciation sets the tone for how people interact, right? Not just with their leaders, but also with each other. And so
Right.
when a
Yeah.
leader consistently shows that appreciation, it creates a sense of value and respect, and it does spread across the team. Team members are more
Sure.
likely to acknowledge and support each other. And I think that's when you can really see trust building and this collaborative spirit.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have this type of culture that we're talking about, even employee satisfaction and retention can
Yes, Macy.
improve and increase because it is that people are feeling seen and they're feeling valued for the work that they're contributing, right? I mean, it also, I would imagine, spawns better communication, possibly innovation, because when people say something, they know that their efforts are going to be appreciated. So then they're like, okay, well, if I'm going to be appreciated, then I'm going to say more, right? I'm going to share more.
Hmm.
And this type of culture, I mean, I really do think it drives not just motivation, but higher performance. And
Hmm.
isn't that what every leader wants, right? At
Yeah.
some level, don't they want a high performing
Yeah,
team?
they
Yeah.
do. I
And
have to
you,
tell you,
go ahead,
we
Kiki.
we actually in one of these event spaces again, I know, but I learned a lot of feedback in them. We actually did like a Q&A, and one of the questions was like, how did you come to work here? And then I
Mm.
had people standing up inside the room saying, I came to work here because of this leader. I
Oh,
followed this person from another company because I like the way they appreciate me and empower me and lead well. And that was a
Yeah.
shock to me. I mean, I watched it over, people would get up over and over and say, this is why
Wow.
I work here.
wow. That's
Yeah.
true leadership legacy.
Yes.
And I think it leads us into today's takeaway, right? If you take only one thing from this episode, let it be this. Appreciation is a powerful motivator that doesn't just impact individuals, right? It shapes the dynamics of a team and the culture of organizations. When
That's right.
when leaders take the time to really recognize effort and value their people, they create an environment where motivation thrives, collaboration grows, and everyone feels empowered to bring their best.
Yeah. And I just think it's about, you cannot expect results. You have to
Mm.
appreciate the people and the journey that gets you there. So actually, this week, we have a challenge for you. You're absolutely going to want to request the free gift to help you with this.
That's right. Our free gift for you this week is a motivating factors worksheet. You can print it out, you can pass it out to your team, your coworkers, and find out what really motivates them. You can grab it in the show notes or you can email us at connect@impactfulmessages.com.
And we actually would love to hear the ahas you're having when your people complete this worksheet. I mean, I will tell you that our clients who have used this worksheet before. They've even implemented it into their interviewing process. It could be that impactful, knowing what actually motivates people. There might be some surprises.
Yeah. Well, Kiki, you have been an amazing guest. Thank you for joining us. How do our listeners stay in contact with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can email me at Kiki, which is Kiki, at keystovibrant.com. That's Keysto, vibrant.com. And it'll be below as well. And then on YouTube, at Kiki Clarke. And Clarke has an E on it, Clarke. Yes, for sure.
And then, Kiki, I know that you're going to have some upcoming classes, and we'll make sure to put that in the show notes as well, in case there's something happening that our listeners want to listen to. So all that will be in the show notes.
Awesome. All right, Kiki, as we wrap up today, what is your favorite leadership quote?
Ooh. I am going to have to go with, I know this is a lead yourself one, but life is not a dress rehearsal. We are on.
Ooh, that is great. Macy, I think this is becoming my favorite part of the podcast.
I know,
the quotes.
It really does give us insight to our guests, right? And kind of what they like to focus on. And for our listeners, do you have a favorite leadership quote? Let us know that, and we might spotlight it on a future episode.
We'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about it. That's right. All right. Bye, Kiki. Bye, bestie.
Bye, bestie. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this show, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app, and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Impactful, with an M, _messages on Instagram, and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.